Okay, before I get into anything else, I want to define this real quick. First of all, let's conclude on what writer's block actually is. Writer's block is the phenomenon that happens when you get mentally drained after a highly demanding intellectual activity. You invested a lot of energy into an activity you finished, and after that, you are still trapped in the train of thought of the previous mindset, so focused that you struggle to move on to the new one. Intelligence is a broad thing, but just for the sake of keeping it simple, we can agree that you can divide it in three things: physical, emotional, and cognitive. And I would say we can understand it broadly as the ability to translate our world into applicable comprehension. In order to do that, your brain needs a lot of energy. You got so invested in whatever you were doing that that action became a routine. And that routine became conditioning. That conditioning becomes stagnation. And stagnation just becomes flood. So that requires release. Okay, think about it. How can emotion or physical activity make you writer's block? I mean, although not called writer's block, I feel that all of those things fall into the same principle because it all stems from the same core, the mind. They can all be trained by discipline, they can all be strengthened, they can all be damaged, and they can all be healed. So, with the definition of what it is out of the way, I want to start talking about how to discipline yourself into getting rid of it as fast as possible if that's something that's interesting to you. Because I hear a lot of times people saying this, the classic saying of, if I don't feel like doing, I don't know, art or whatever, I don't force it, blah, blah, blah. And that's all fine and dandy, I guess. I mean, um, sometimes I do that too, but maybe you just get stuck on it and you want to get rid of it. I have found a method that has worked for me for the last around, I don't know, for years, and for since I've been doing art professionally. And basically it all sums up to discipline, but that's a very narrow definition. As it for me, I like making comics, illustrations. I've been making comics way before I even knew what a comic was, when I was like 5, 6 or something. Same with illustrations, of course. It comes with the actually it's the other way around. You draw, and sometimes if you draw, sometimes you make comics. I like doing sculpture, video, and so on. So you can imagine how mentally draining that can be for a lot of people. Just doing one of those things constantly can be mentally draining. So just imagine trying to make them all, and try to have a steady pace, trying to be constant. You're eventually going to get writer's block. Like right now, for example, I actually experienced it, which was very fortunate for me actually, because that was gave me the idea to make this video, and it's turning out to be one of the most interesting videos I've made so far. And let me explain. In the midst of the comics that I have been making for like a couple of years now, I started building up my YouTube channel just because, I don't know, for an impulse or something. I started making the videos and videos and videos. I had been uploading to YouTube for years now, but never anything constant until right now, until a couple of months ago. And I want to keep up that pace. But as I said earlier, you reach to a point where your mind just is drained. And I got writer's block for a couple of days, and then that block, that mental exhaustion got me. But I wasn't going to let it keep going for long. So, comics, action figure tutorials, YouTube videos, writer's block. What's the story there? To start, so the story is that I had been making comic books regularly for for about a year now. Of course, I have been making them for longer, but I wasn't this strict for making this new series that I was starting since last year. I was doing that, and then suddenly my brain, like, I work like this. Suddenly, as it usually happens with me, I get another idea and I have an urge to make it, but I'm always in the process of already making something else. So I was making the comics, I started making the action figure tutorials, and I was juggling between those two for some time, and then tutorials, comics, flea market videos. I got run over by a car, tutorial, comics, tutorial, comics, tutorial. You can actually if you see around my channel, you're gonna find that I only have like 3-4 videos of tutorials, but those videos took me months to finish because the process was very slow. I recorded so much, so that's why I was making tutorials very often, even though you're only gonna see like 3, 4, 5 about half an hour videos. So all that happened. Suddenly I'm on a roll. I don't stop. I don't stop. I don't stop. I don't stop, and I don't stop because I'm already very disciplined at this thing. So I don't stop. I just keep making something, and I just keep making something. My go-to plan is always do something else, and always do something else, and always do something else. And if you get tired of it, always do something else. And if you get tired of that, you do something else again. Before I notice it, I'm making a video, and then I'm making another video, and then I'm making another video, and then I'm making another video. Nobody's watching, but I keep making them anyways. Nobody's watching, but I keep making them anyways because it's fun, it's rewarding, whatever. I don't care if nobody cares for them. It's like I'm making them anyways because I like it. But I realized something. I have to keep going with the comic because people are actually reading the comic a lot. Some people are. I was like, I kind of own the people who are reading the comic to keep doing it because there's some people that want to keep seeing what I do. And I was like, wait a minute, oh my god, I got entangled in streak of making videos, and I totally lost my train of thought with the comics. I knew what I was supposed to do. I know the story that I am trying to tell, but I don't have it in me anymore. I sort of just like poof, lost my edge to do that. And I was like, okay. So I finished, I don't remember which video, one of the last like scripted videos because I uploaded something else. And then I realized the dreaded thing. I stopped making them. I was ready. I wanted to get back to the comics. It was actually the last issue that I wanted to release before I got into doing something else. I'm doing them by parts. Part number 1 goes to 1 to 13, and I was on comic number 12, and I was like, I just need to make one more so I can let go of the comics for a while, do some other stuff, and then go back to them. I was like, come on, just do one, just one little issue, 10 pages, because I'm uploading it for Instagram, and Instagram only allows you to put 10 pages, so it's kind of a pain in the ass, but I juggle around to make a story coherent enough to fit, to be sort of semi-rich in narrative, to fit it in 10 pages. It doesn't really work, but it's fine. Works enough. Anyways, the important thing is that I discovered that I'm mentally blocked. I can't do it. I have urgency to do something, to keep working, but nothing comes out. Typical writer's block. I just don't have it. Don't have the edge to do it. So I said to myself, well, okay, fine and dandy, I guess, but it's not what I want. So this is what I do to get back on track. I said it was all about discipline, and this is what I mean. In case of writer's block, first thing to do is that I always look for a way to renew energy. It turns out that the energy that you were spending on some that intense activity that you had before, it's still there. That's why you can't do anything new, because the old energy that you had, the old focus that you had is already there. But you were so focused that even when you after you finish doing set whatever, your brain still is still on that same train of thought and on that same drive. So first thing is to cut that out, to release all of that and get new energy. So of course rest is the first thing that you need. For me, sometimes I only need a couple of hours of rest a day or two, because I've already practiced this enough. So I just sat around staring at the ceiling. I just took a nap. I don't know. I played a little bit of Pokemon because I had been playing that for a couple of like hours days ago, so I played that. Just I don't know, I just killed time. I rested. It's important to just get your mindset away from everything for a while. Just sort of shut everything up and just chill. Just chill. After you feel that you need to go back to working, I feel it's very important to go back to it slowly, little by little. Since doing the videos that I make and doing comics are so different from each other, the mindset that you need to have for both of those things are so separated from each other. It's actually very different mindset that you need to have in order to make those two things, especially the nature of the things that I do, the comics and the videos that I do. It's two totally different mindset, totally different sets of thought that you need totally different process. To release my brain from the thought process of editing, making notes, and all the things that I need to make for a video, I remembered a little series that I was making like 2 years ago or something, where I was remaking the drawings that I used to do when I was a little kid. I look for notebooks or stuff that I can find, and I try to remake them with the interpretation that I can give them now, remembering what I was doing and also sort of trying to decipher what I was thinking, and just like making it up as it goes by. That was a perfect segue into going back to illustrations, because it was a very simple exercise, actually very fun. The drawing was quick to make, not very demanding, not very complicated. Just a simple thing to draw and get on the mindset of drawing on paper. While shifting my mental process with that exercise, I actually got the idea to make the Bella and the Bella video. I'm not sure exactly how am I gonna call it. It was a great excuse to have even more material. I was trying to get away from videos, and by trying away from videos, I got more material to make more videos. But it's all good because it also helped me to get back into drawing, and I was done with that really quick. So with the train of thought of drawing now, I was ready to get back to the comic. So I just loosely sketched around the pages that I already had set prepared, the number of pages that I had, and I just like doodled around very lightly. I went around the basic premise of the comic. It's very important to keep notes, especially if you're writing a story. It's very important to keep notes of what you're going to write later on. So I just kept going around it. I just kept reading the notes, trying to soak myself again in the previous old ideas that I was having before the writer's block. I feel that this must be very similar to what method actors use to get into character. That's why they don't like to get out of the character as much as possible, because you you try to get sort of soaked in the idea of what you're trying to do. You're trying to sort of impersonate that. You're trying to become what you're doing. You're trying to just you're trying to totally immerse yourself into what you're doing. That's why it's so exhausting. And by doodling around, watching the previous issues that I had been doing for the couple of months, for the months that I've been doing them, by going around previous illustrations that I have been making, I started remembering, the characters, their traits, the stories that they had been having. Sort of, start to get to know the characters again, start to get into the characters again. Sort of basically becoming familiar with the comic again. It's really important to enjoy what you're doing and to have a rested mind. Sleep well, actually. I always try to do that, and I mean, I don't have a lot of trouble sleeping or anything like that. I actually sleep very well. But what's very important is to not let go of the discipline. It's very, very important to keep driving yourself into that activity that you're trying to do by small steps, but small, constant steps. If you don't force yourself a little bit at first, you're never going to learn and get the discipline to do it easily later on, so that writer's block can last for 1 or 2 days instead of 1 or 2 years. So small little activities that involve you and immerse you into that bigger, greater activity that you're trying to get done is the key. So at first it feels like they're not getting you anywhere, that you can't, as much as you try, you can't. But that's why years ago I decided to just practice and force it, practice and force it, practice and force it until now I can have the relief of not struggling too much whenever I try to get into it. And that's what I mean when I say that that same phenomenon with a different name can happen to you emotionally, can happen to you physically and intellectually. Sometimes you feel that you get so emotionally drained for whatever situation that you're experiencing that it just takes out all of the emotions that you could actually have. Abusive and draining situations that you could be exposed to can block you to a point where you don't where you can't even have that emotion anymore. You have to get back to it, slowly opening yourself again little by little in order to allow you to make you feel again, to have an emotion again, opening yourself to small constant things here and there that can slowly build you up to care or love or hate or whatever it is. And physical too. Sometimes you can make an activity such a routine to a point where your body sort of rejects it and you don't want to do it anymore. And you just become blocked and you can't do it. You try, you warm up, and you try to do it, and simply sort of your muscles don't want to do it. But steadily changing the routine again can build you up to a cycle where you can do it eventually again with no problem. And since I don't want to repeat myself way too many times, let's summarize. Writer's block. 1. Do something else to kill the routine and get rid of the residual old energy. 2. Short rest. 3. Discipline yourself with gradually bigger and constant efforts. And that's roughly about it. And I can't think of anything else to say, so I end here. Bye bye.